Hello, and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities Podcast. I'm your host, Melvin the Crimson Taurus, and unfortunately, Neima can't be here today. However, in her place is one of my good friends and no stranger to Unexplained Possibilities. You guys already know who she is. That's right, that Raven Moon Texas witch herself, Bonnie W.
Hey guys, how are you?
So, Bonnie, guess what?
What?
You're not the only person who is joining us today who I would consider special.
Special as in
Well, special as in
like
I are special.
a,
No, special. Good, cool,
not a
awesome.
snowflake or something. Okay, all right, we're
No,
good.
you're not the only one. Can
Just like,
can you guess who else we have on?
mm, is it the annoying orange? No.
No. That could be taken two ways now in this day and age. But no, no. You guys, we are joined by, well, currently one of two ladies who have experiences with some might call the big bad of the paranormal. I'm talking about demons. And perhaps these ladies can both answer if that is an accurate statement to make or not. Please welcome aboard. And I'm about to butcher this despite my practicing. Da- there it is already. Daemonolater Brooke. Brooke, how do you say that?
Daemonolater.
Daemonolator.
Daemonolater, yeah.
Daemonolator.
You
I can't say it. But anyway, yes, Brooke is here, and you may have seen her on the Paranormal Files, which if you haven't, well, don't go watch it right now. Listen to us first, then go watch it. And she's not alone. She brought along with her her friend Megan, who isn't with us right now. She will be on a little bit later. So, Brooke, welcome aboard. Sorry for butchering that name, which I don't know how you can say it, but how are you?
Good, good. Thanks for having me.
So, let's start with this right now. What everyone is asking, aside from how Melvin's going to butcher this again, what is a daemon? Oh, a daemonolator.
Basically, someone who works and worships daemons.
Okay, daemons. Now, I've heard that before. Daemons. What is a daemon?
Daemon is what most people nowadays refer to as demons, but originally was a guiding spirit or helpful entity in Greek mythology.
Ah, Greek mythology. So this predates Christianity's use of quote unquote demon.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I was getting ready to get into the heavy stuff. I'm going to hold off on that. We're going to tease you guys some. Bonnie, and it's so cool that you're
yes.
here for this show, Bonnie, because you work with these type of entities. So,
Mm-hmm.
with your experiences and your knowledge, do you believe that they predate Christianity?
I do. I do. I think they've been here to help us, guide us, and such for like probably from the beginning. Just different. Well, there's so many different type of spirits that have been out there. To those that are even familiar with like the Enochian magic, you have the what they call like the Enochian keys, which is the angel language. So it's almost like I wouldn't call them like the opposites of that at all, because they're very similar, honestly. But it's just from my understanding, it's way more frightening to work with like the Enochian magic. You know what I mean? If that makes sense, because I want to call them celestial in a way, but they're not. They're much more. They do have like, well, okay, when it comes to the Enochian, more celestial, but like with the demons or daemon, whichever you choose to call it, whatever you're working with, the ones that they're more human like, I guess you'd say, or they have more of personalities like we do as just the humans that walk around on this earth, they have more of the emotions that we do. They just can like separate themselves from too much, I guess, emotion in it. They can separate a little bit better than we can.
Okay. Now, Brooke, going back to you, how did you get involved into this world? What brought you into it?
Well, I mean, I've always been really interested in the paranormal and spirits, and in particular, I actually was always pretty drawn to the concept, not really the concept of demons, but demons as a whole. What I knew about them was very interesting, and about, I want to say 6 years ago now, I this self-proclaimed Levians, or however the hell you pronounce it, Satanist, and he actually claimed to be working with Gusion. I don't know if you want me to get into the specifics of that, but that's pretty much how the idea was introduced to me, and then I sort of just took it over and made it my own thing.
Okay, well, yeah, let's go into the specifics of it. Like, I want to hear it. I'm sure Bonnie does, and the folks listening, let's learn. Let's hear it.
Okay, so the thing is with him, everything that I learned from him was pretty much just like copy pasted from Wikipedia and like the first like links on the any Google search, pretty much. So when I was first, I would ask him questions, but as I got more involved and started doing my own research, I started realizing that most of what he said was pretty much just copy pasted, and he didn't really seem to know what he was talking about. And it especially became obvious when I started meditating and realizing that the way to actually open up like communication with these entities is to meditate, and he never meditated. So that, I want to say 2 years, I pretty much stopped going for him for information and just started doing my own research, and it pretty much just became my own thing from there.
Now, that's actually a way I think you have to do it. I think it's okay if you're introduced to something by a specific person, because we're all introduced. We all have to, find someone who knows before us, but we take it and then we make it our own, because, that's the thing. We're all individuals. We all learn differently. Certain things appeal to us and other things don't. And if you wanted that more deeper information, then yeah, you gotta go and do that research on your own and see what fits you. Now, oh, I didn't catch who was getting ready. Who's?
I said I agree. It's I was talking to somebody else that they didn't really get much out. I mean, they had never, somebody that works with spirits all the time and even draws them. I was talking to them recently, and they'd never really learned even from a book so much, but it was something that they did kind of like Brooke was mentioning with meditation and just what she was guided to do, and I mean got all kinds of answers that way. I mean, and I think you can take like different texts and stuff and kind of get an idea, like a sigil. You can use the sigil as a thing to meditate on, but that's not the main part of it. It is actually just using that connection, that kind of like emptying your mind of everything else that you're trying to do and meditating just on that connection alone.
Brooke, you mentioned Gusion, and I had no... Well, first, is Gusion a man or a woman? Or I don't even know if do they have genders? How does that work?
So I wouldn't say they're like hardline to any specific gender, but he definitely comes off as a male presence.
Okay. How did you meet Gusion? How did this come about?
It actually came about directly from my ex-husband that I mentioned. For whatever reason, and I think this was most likely guided by Gusion, he selected his name out of the 72 list of demons and basically just like tried to make him his personal demon, and I do believe that was work at hand. Based on what I've experienced since, I believe that I most likely have worked with him in either in past lives,
So, do you think Gushin is someone who has been with you, pretty much forever, I guess, in this life, and he just didn't make his presence known until you were properly ready?
Well, I think yes. I think he's been with me for many lifetimes, and I think that he did try to introduce himself earlier on, but I've always been sort of a natural skeptic, so I really kind of either ignored it or the one thing I can really think of was before I actually met my ex. I performed like an energy work session on my best friend, and then I had no idea what I was doing. I was just kind of following instincts, but after that, I started having some like really strange experiences, like walking loud and like up and down the stairs, and it freaked me out. So my guess is that, given that I am a natural skeptic and that method freaked me out, he had to go another route. And I've always had kind of a weakness for my significant others, so that was probably the best way to actually access me.
Okay, so not so much in your face and more like, let's get her from this angle. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I would, don't worry, I would freak out myself and scream and say, nope, which I do anyway over mosquitoes, so. But what is it like, though? What has it been like having Gushin in your life versus, well, yeah, versus you being more skeptic? Like, what has changed?
Um, Honestly, just total opposite. I'm definitely not a skeptic now, for starters. I mean, I was always interested in the paranormal, but I was still pretty like skeptic about it because I'd never had any personal experiences. But having him in my life has been like, a teacher, a best friend, a family member. My life has totally changed. My mental state has totally changed. I've definitely grown significantly since I encountered him. I'm more independent, more sure of myself, and it definitely helps just knowing that like someone is there to guide and always to just like back me up, basically.
And that's funny because Bonnie said something similar about Belial.
Yes. When I started working with him, I noticed that my confidence, like, I wouldn't say like it. Well, it kind of went through the roof, but Belial is, well, it translates, no masters. You know what I mean? So it's like he bows to no one. It is like self-reliant. He has helped me to realize that I am, we are our own godhoods. We can be our own strength. We don't have to. They teach you a lot of more to depend on yourself than other things, and even when it comes to depending on another human being, it's like as long as you have confidence and strength within, then you can pretty much come through anything. And so, yeah, confidence and my mental state went way through the roof. It was very strange because, Melvin, I was raised, and I've always taken every knowledge of any religion that I've learned. I try to take the positive things from it and learn from those. But like Christian background, it was very, very different and awkward at first. But then I realized it's like, okay, this is not at all what I thought it was going to be. So let me clear this up. There are no baby sacrifices. Let me just go there. No baby sacrifices. No, you do not have to sell your soul to the devil. If you want to, that is up to you. But so the whole sacrifice thing is, I mean, yes, I do know some that will do animals, but it's not like not huge animals like a cow or anything like that. But that is up to that person and what that person feels that entity is asking from them. It can be like, and asking me to prick my finger for a little bit of blood is like a lot. So they know that takes a lot of strength from me. So yes. So when it's coming from within, that the sacrifices and such that you do for them, it's not babies or selling your soul. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there to those that are like, what the heck, because it is a lot different than how the movies do portray it. even a lot of the paranormal shows will make it a lot darker than what it truly is.
Okay, so I don't have to go to a forest and sacrifice a goat. All right, got it.
No.
Well, I was all prepared to do that for his Dark Lord and Savior, but all right.
Well,
Well,
you can if you want to, but it's not necessary.
okay. You know what? Are there offerings that you have to perform? Like, do they want anything in return? Like, is there something mandatory you have to do?
For me, there was one working that I did for someone that, because Belial, when it comes to helping people with legal issues and such, I was helping somebody, and literally it was just like, hey, like mention my name 3 times, but just 3 different times to 3 different people. Like, let them know that, hey, like this demon like helped me out with this issue that I had. Really, just kind of give them a little bit of, I guess you'd say like props, or you know what I mean, like respect. That's all they ask. Is the same thing that anything else would ask for, is respect and validation.
Okay, what about for you, Brooke? Has Gusion or any of the other, uh, I guess you could say entities or spirits that you worked with, have they ever demanded anything of you?
Um, I wouldn't necessarily say demand, more like encourage, and I'd have to agree with Bonnie. It's more so that they want like appreciation and just like recognition for the work they've done. And I think that's really what offerings are about, like they offer food or self-sacrifice things. Like, for example, I made a deal with Gushin where he helped me and I agreed to meditate for this period of time and chant his N and do yoga. And
Do yoga?
it's more so it's more so about just recognizing the work they've done for you
and putting herself in a state where she's actually benefiting herself from the yoga.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay. Now you see, when you said yoga, I just have I every now and then I will do some yoga just for physical purposes to, get somewhat in shape. And I swear that is the most evil thing someone has come up with, and I don't know how anyone can enjoy it. So if someone told me do some yoga, we'd have a
Well,
problem.
I've noticed that yoga really seems to balance the energies and relax your body to a state where your astral senses are more open. So that's one of the reasons that I do yoga.
Well, they'll push you to your limits, though, Mel. I mean, it's like they're going to make you do something. They're not going to ask you anything. Like, they're not going to say, hey, why don't you go climb a mountain, something you've never done. But it might be something that will push you a little bit, for, I don't want to, I'm sitting here smoking a cigarette. And I don't want to sit there and say, like, they'll be like, hey, you need to quit. They could.
Hey, you were supposed to quit. Why are you smoking?
Because
God darn it, Bonnie.
I'm a bad gal.
I'm over here in Texas. I'm smoking a cigarette. Because I'm a Texas
Hey,
witch.
it could be. Hey, it could be something else.
I do want to say, real quick before I forget, Bonnie, your fan club is here. Pamela says hello, and also Sorsha says hello.
Sorsha, Pam, hey guys.
So sorry about cutting you off like that, Miss Texas Witch smoking a cigarette. Okay, so yoga though, that's an interesting one, and it's cool that it actually balances you out. So it's
actually Pam mentioning her, she does a lot of jujitsu, and I know that the spirit that she works with, that they have done that. She, that's kind of one of the things she does. So it is, and it's funny how that Brooke mentions, it's like a physical, your balance and all of these things. It will have something that will ground you more. So it makes a lot of sense that the different ones will, different spirits will have you to work with different things. I know that I probably need to work on Tai Chi is one that I've been drawn to lately.
Interesting. I have been too.
Yes, Tai Chi. That's a lot of energy manipulation there. But
so Brooke, with Gushin, you said that he protects you. How does that protection come about?
Well, I've had him actually physically intervene a couple times in my life when I was in danger.
Mm-hmm.
But it also just falls back on, even just in like work situations. If something is going particularly negative, he might step in and kind of turn the tides in my favor a little bit.
Hmm. Oh, okay. So that's really cool. Now, it's funny because how how you're describing him, and actually how we're talking about, I'll say Daemons, how we're talking about them. It is vastly different from how many religious industries will say portray them, because they do oftentimes come off as the big bad. And I think that some of them might be pretty PO'd about that. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is just me and my ideals, but I think a lot of them feel disrespected, and if they do come off as angry and just get out of my face, it's because they aren't being respected and they are looked at like a villain for no real reason. And do you think that has an effect, just being disrespected and being called evil and bad for, I mean, literally thousands of years now?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I have noticed that the only time Gusion really seems to get, I wouldn't say aggressive, he's pretty laid back, but the only time he gets even relatively aggressive is when he's directly disrespected. And I don't necessarily think that very spirit to spirit. I wouldn't say that he's necessarily angry, but more so passionate about changing the view of them. And I think that a lot of the concepts of demon kind of comes from, well, first of all, a lot of it more recently comes from Hollywood. But it really dates back to mistranslations of the Old Hebrew Bible and into the New Testament, as well as in all religions, there's always been some concept of, the underworld and evil spirits in general. But there was also always guiding spirits, and it really wasn't until I want to say like somewhere between like 300 BCE and 300 CE that the idea of demons being conflated with daemons really became a thing. Mistranslations as well as prosecution of pagans, and they kind of just got conflated as the same thing as evil demons, and they're not.
And unfortunately, even now, we have folks that are pushing this nonsense. And I do say nonsense, and Bonnie probably knows where I'm going with this. And and one such person, we're not going to say her name, Brooke will know that woman. And
I'm sorry. Can you hear me roll my eyes?
yes, I can feel it. Like, I just feel the eye roll so hard.
I gotta breathe. Yeah, okay, misconception. That is an understatement. Some people want to, okay, this is where the words demonologist comes in. And because they only see them in a negative light. They only see them as something that will out to hurt you. It's out to trick you. And that we're so misguided. And it's like, okay, please, brother, get off me, because I know where I'm at in my life. And that's what I've got family members that still, oh, I want you to be in heaven with me. I'm like, I'm okay going wherever I go. But thank you for your concern. And like a lot of my family, though, that like my immediate family, they've gotten a lot more understanding towards it, because they do see the difference in me. They do see that I am, even when I'm having, going through something really rough, that I might sulk and have my moment. I'm a Cancer. I always tease. It's like I kind of like get in my feelings, but then once I pull myself, okay, so you understand. I feel you. So when you get low, you might take a minute to get out of it, because a lot of times I have the personality that I try to help everybody else out, and that's great. But when I'm weak, it's like, whoa. It's like trying to climb back up that hill is like rough at times. But since I've been working with these spirits, with these energies, and even just the community in itself, they're very they all have different stories and different things that they've come through that make you feel like, okay, I have my tribe, and I'm absolutely, I love it. It's I would say it's less judgmental, a safe place in a lot of ways. Now, there is some haters out there. Don't get me wrong. That's going to be in any community, but I have felt more at ease with this community than any other.
Okay, that's always a plus. And going back to that woman or this woman or
Oh,
moron, now Brooke, you know, she said some things that were just stupid, and that's the only way to put it. They're stupid. And she portrays herself to be something that I officially believe she's not. But how do you feel about her saying what she said about you, and like you need help and you don't know what you're talking about and blah blah blah, that junk? First, how do you feel about that?
Well, I feel like she doesn't know what she's talking about, for starters. I think that first of all, I think she's more so in it for fame, and up and down, she's not in it for money, but pushes her books like left and right, like every other freaking sentence.
Don't do that, guys. Don't.
And she has all this concept of what she believes to be the truth, and she fails to recognize that there are other perspectives. Thinks her perspective is the only way, and I think that's a sign of being closed-minded. And generally, when you're really in this shit, I feel like you're open-minded to different perspectives, and I think that about sums it up.
I agree. Well, she goes in it with a very Christian type attitude, which is fine, but it's almost like my mother's Christian, but she will listen to me and she will hear me out. And in my view, if there was a Christ, that would be the type of Christian I would want representing me, instead of one that is judgmental to others. You know what I mean? So you've got to kind of represent whatever it is you're working with, or that you're getting your strength from, or whatnot. Represent it in a positive way, because you don't want to be the one that leads. I don't want to say leads others astray. That would be more of a Christian type of way, but you would put a negative light on it. If you're out there doing, okay, I have, Mel knows I've got my thing with serial killers and stuff. I've because of the psychology of it. But okay, so like Richard Ramirez, okay, he made, Satanism and everything very scary, obviously. Which that really is not the intention. What he did was because he's crazy. It had nothing to do with, per se, that he might have thought that's what he was doing, but there are tons of Satanists out there that do not kill people. So it's kind of like, I think it's the person's mindset. And she is just kind of, unfortunately, one of those that, people that work with demonic spirits and such are going to always have people looking at them in a negative light, always, because it's something taboo, it's something scary, it's something that they don't understand. And when you don't understand something, you're going to be very frightened of it. And so you're going to listen to people like this. I want to say the word bimbo, and that's not even a word I would use.
That sounds like something I would say.
But bimbo is about, I don't mean to sound that way, but she is, you can guess her hair color from that.
Darn. Bonnie?
Hey, I'm blonde, and but, man.
Oh, okay. Is that how it is in this day and age? Really? You're doing that? I can say this because I'm blonde. Okay.
I can. No, but she's just very, 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 she wants to attack those that she doesn't understand at all. And then what was funny is, like, if somebody that knows what the hell they're talking about comes back at her with actual something to say of substance. It's like she wants to, I'll notice she'll delete any comments that somebody will, give her, educate her real quick.
Yeah.
And she doesn't like that. She only wants the ones that make her look, she's one of those people that wants only the good things that, oh, you're pretty. Oh, you're so smart. You know everything. That's the comments that you pretty much see on her page. I'm pretty sure the other ones you don't.
Yeah, it honestly just shows her insecurity in herself and what she does.
Yes.
If you are really secure in yourself, then you really don't give too many fucks about what people have to say negative. And I mean, it's just, I find it interesting because she swears up and down she's not Christian, but she's BFFs with Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
no, not Jesus. It's Yeshua. Or, excuse me, now it's Yuashua. So, let's get that right.
And she, says all these sensationalized ideas about my practice and how, she just wants to help me and care and all this stuff. And I'm like, generally, when you actually care about someone, you take the time to get to know them and understand them and then see if you can help them after that. You don't just make, like, random ass judgments and assume you know what you're talking about. And
right.
Another thing to note I found funny is she says all these things about the entities we works with, but turns around and says that she's dating Elvis Presley.
That was my favorite recently. This woman is, I don't know how she has a time for her real life because she's in the astral so much. And her whole perception of the astral realm is just, I don't know if she's ever truly been there because it's, or she understands it at all, because I think one of the things that I noticed she said is that she jumped into your astral plane or whatever. And it's like, number one, I have, without my own knowing it, I'm not good at trying to do any astral work. When I do it, I am never aware of it. I've had somebody tell me the next day, hey, you came and visited me. I'm like, oh my God, they said, no, I'm okay, but how the hell did you break through my barrier? Because, like, I'm protected. That is one place we're protected. And so for her to say that she was able to just go in there and try to help you through the astral, I'm like, oh, God, okay. She has no idea.
She basically claims that she came to my house with, like, these big bad angels and just expected me to not notice. And then when I pointed out that I definitely would have noticed that, she decided that Gusion just made me forget, essentially. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's how that works.
Actually, I'm happy you brought up Gusion, because I do have a question. I don't know if he would answer or relay it to you, but how does Gusion feel about people who prejudge, so to speak? How does he feel about some of the hate that you receive from being on the Paranormal Files, from that woman and her weird fan base? What does he say about that?
Well, basically, in the long run, it makes me stronger, but he definitely doesn't see them in a positive light. He basically kind of sees them as I don't quite know how to put this, but most humans he sees as insects.
I knew you were gonna say that.
They're really not worth the time or energy.
Bug. Bug.
Well, that's not the first time I've heard that. Going to the alien topic real quick, I remember my friend AP, he once was speaking to someone who had an abduction, and he asked the ETs, like, okay, please tell me, like, what it is you're doing to me. I deserve to know. I'm a human. I can understand. And they essentially said, like, really? Okay, do you tell a tiger what it is you're going to do, or do you just save them? And of course, we don't tell a tiger what's going on. And then it was like, you guys aren't even in diapers. You're so young and so stupid. You are like a bug. We can kill you and feel nothing and walk away. So just shut up and be saved. So it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of get where he's coming from, where, yeah, we're kind of insignificant with certain things if we're so caught up in our ways and we're prejudging things we don't know. And then, of course, when you have someone like that woman who thinks she's holier than thou spouting nonsense, then it gets even more irritating. So I can kind of understand that. So here's one.
A quote from him.
Oh.
I wouldn't even waste my time being irritated with her. That's how insignificant she is.
Darn!
I love it. It's significant. I can't even talk right now, but yeah, I love that because, with Belial, it's so, when it comes to those things, it's like, just be you, be your, definitely he'll kind of, I do care and I don't care what others think, but he definitely turned my don't give two F's. I'm trying to not cuss. I'm trying to be nice. But, he's turned that, even cranked it up higher with me. So I really don't. Okay, say something ugly. I mean, I know who I am. I don't have to answer to anybody.
No.
Yep. That's pretty much why I mostly just chose to respond with one comment and left it at that. Because I felt like if I tried to pull against her, she would just turn it into her being the victim and how, like, I was attacking her and just a sensational nonsense to, like, boost her views and bullshit. So I didn't even give her the time of day.
Nah, probably for the best. So here's another question for you and Gusion, Brooke. Who chose who? Did he choose you? Did you choose him? Or was this something that was, I guess, for lack of a better word, predestined?
He says predestined is probably more of an accurate term.
Okay, so that's actually kind of scary because I've never been a huge believer in destiny, but now I'm changing my mind. And how did how did the relationship evolve? Has he changed and evolved as you've changed and evolved? How you've gotten stronger and learned over the years? Has he gotten stronger, well, or at least gained more knowledge from you throughout the years and perhaps different lifetimes?
I would say it's pretty symbiotic in a way, over many lifetimes. Sorry, kind of trying to listen at the same time. He says that, of course, he's evolved over different lifetimes, and I actually, from what I understand, at one point he has walked human lives. I wouldn't say maybe from this lifetime is the feeling I'm getting.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely in past lifetimes and in the lifetimes we've walked together, it's been symbiotic.
Okay. And you know what? I don't know if he'd like to answer this or not, but I'm going to throw it out there because how many chances do you get to ask someone who is beyond the veil this question? What the heck is going on with 2020? Why is it just...
There is an awakening. There is
some crazy shit is happening.
Definitely things are trying to get our attention, for sure.
Mm-hmm. I think they're definitely, at least I've noticed in the last 5 years, they've definitely been, for lack of better terminology, coming out of the shadows and making their move and really trying to push humanity and the ones that work with them to and publicly acknowledge them, the things they do, so that maybe the view of them can change. And I think that I think that all the crazy shit that's happening in 2020 is probably directly due to humans not listening for so long. Not just to the kind of entities he is, but to all spirits and entities.
Yeah. Yeah, it level up. It's a leveling up time, and we're not actually even given the option. It's like you better, learn to swim or sing.
I will quote Arya from Killer Instinct. Either humanity's going to evolve, or I will force them to evolve and drag them along kicking and screaming.
There's a good way. That's kind of, yeah.
So we're kicking and screaming. Got it.
Yeah, a lot of people are kicking and screaming.
So, Brooke, do you work with other entities aside from Gusion?
A couple, but not that regularly.
How the other entities that you work with, how does their energy differ from Gusion?
Sometimes drastically, and sometimes not that much. It's kind of hard to explain because it's just sensations, but Gusion's energy feels heavy, but it flows like water. And it's a little bit cold, not freezing, a little bit cold. And then on the opposite spectrum, Set, for example, is warm, but like desert heat. And his is very airy feeling. It flows airwood. And then Leviathan is like cool water, a little bit heavy, but definitely not as heavy as Gusion's. And then is a little warm, like a warm sunny day with a cool breeze. And then I'm trying to think of Asmodeus is a little bit more similar to Gusion's, I've noticed. His is a little bit cooler than Gusion's and isn't as heavy. And I don't know if the heaviness is necessarily accurate because it seems like they can change if it's heavy or not. But Gusion is pretty much...
I've said this before, and it's thanks to Bonnie, unfortunately, but I actually felt the energy of different, I'll say diamonds. Diamonds? Diamonds? Oh.
Daemon.
Yeah. I don't mean to insult any spirit. I'm just bad at saying words.
They're not quite so easy to insult.
Okay. But, I felt the energy of Paimon, or do I have to say Lord Paimon? King? Yes, King Paimon. I felt his energy, which was very interesting because he made his presence known at like 2 a.m. All of a sudden, it was just a giant bang out of nowhere and people playing drums and mass. I was like, what the heck?
I told you.
Which was the craziest freaking thing. I felt...
He likes music. He uses music.
I felt, and his energy was heavy. Like, that's the best way. It was heavy. It was like, whoa, this guy means business. And he will punch you if you disrespect him, and it will hurt.
Just don't watch Hereditary, please. I mean, yeah.
I don't watch those movies, so.
Good. Let's not. Just promise me you won't. You'll be
I won't. And then I felt Belial's energy, which is quite different. Cold, actually. And Astroth, I felt his energy. He showed up, and he was actually quite polite.
Well, I mean, with Astroth, it's I get a lot of times more of a theme, like Brooke said earlier. It doesn't always. You can't really put a gender to these. But Astroth actually would be considered have more of a female type. I'm sorry that when you said it was like I heard she.
Oh, excuse me, she.
So I just thought that.
You know what happens? This is what happens with Astroth, because I'm a giant nerd and I love video games. In Soul Calibur, there's a character named Astroth, and it's a guy. And that's what happens. I get crossed and I think of him, but, it's no disrespect intended. And,
what?
Huh?
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Bonnie?
No, I was just gonna say, like a lot of these will have similarities. Like, okay, Belial and Poseidon have a lot of similarities as entities in themselves. It's almost like they're, I wouldn't say the same, but there is like a kinship there. Okay, Odin and Azazel. You know, because I've worked a lot with the Norse entities as well, and let me think. Oh, Loki has one that is similar. I can't. Trying to think, but I mean, certain ones will have aspects that will almost shadow or mirror another entity that I've worked with another time. So it is, and maybe that is how, you know, we feel like we've worked with these things over different lifetimes, because we have, maybe in just in a different form, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But I do have to say, the oddest energy I felt was Lilith. That,
Yeah.
I don't know if have you ever been around Lilith, Brooke?
No, not really.
Like, let me tell you, like, I don't know what's up with that energy, but it's weird. It's not that it's heavy. It's not. It's hypnotizing and very weird and slithery. Like, I don't want to say it's a snake, but it sneaks up on you and it's very hypnotizing. And it's like, okay, what's happening here? And it can come off as quite warm, and you just get mesmerized. That energy is the weirdest, and honestly it's the scariest, because you don't know what's up with it, and it's off. I mean, it is something is you don't mess with that energy. I mean, unless you want to, of course. But anyway, she's banned from me anyway, so long story. But yeah, sorry, Lilith, you can't have chocolate. um
Oh my god. Oh.
So, Brooke, are there actually? You know what? Let's go into this route. So, have you ever had any negative experiences?
Not relating to any of the entities I've worked with, but relating to like lower level astral entities I have.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What are lower level astral entities?
Um, they pretty much fit the Christian concept of demon to a T, if I'm being honest, but generally they are entities that feed off of humans because they don't have enough energy to sustain themselves, so they feed off of negativity, fear, anger, all these negative emotions.
That actually sounds like what we would call a traditional demon, and you know, the guys on Ghost Adventures, what they claim to run into or whatever. You know, it's a demon, bro. You know.
Yeah.
A lot of these are calls, you know, I've noticed with, in fact, I was at the market the other day, and I literally was going down one aisle, and I tracked around and went all the way around the store so that I didn't have to go around a certain customer, because this person was in the throes of addiction, and you could tell it. And I did not want around his energy body at all, because it's hard to explain, but you can almost feel it. It's like a nasty, it's like you can feel the pulsation there, but it is not good. It is not one that you are like, ooh, you know, I want some of that. You know, somebody that's like in a very good mood, and they're happy, and they're uplifted, and they're smiling and uplifting others, you might catch yourself looking or smiling just looking at them. But with this person, it was like, okay, I can't get far enough away. I almost went back out of the store, but I just killed back to the back of the store until they were pretty much through checking out, because I just didn't want near them. And it was this, I would say it was from addiction. But these things, like she said, they do feed, and that's one way that they'll do it from the things that I've come across.
Okay. And I actually have another question for Gushin, if he's all right with that. I just sort of started asking him questions without even asking if it was okay. Is that okay? Like, it's
Yeah.
okay. Um, what, how does he feel about us being humans, classifying him as a demon, or in this case, what you just said was a lower astral form, something that would be traditionally a demon, and us not seeing him more as a type of guide, as a spiritual entity who deserves respect, who I'm assuming is thousands of years old, and so on and so forth.
He's sort of on the laid back side of things, so I wouldn't really say it irritates him. More like a minor annoyance. But when people get into this and work with him, they'll quickly see that he's not like that, and I think that conflating the two really just comes from ignorance, honestly.
And what about, and of course, this is the classic, but what about his views on what we would call angels or angelic beings? How does he feel about them?
Um, he's never indicated that he has a problem with them, so much as he doesn't like how they go about things.
Okay. And you know what's funny? Um, I, I'm getting ready to sound crazy. I once asked an angel what he felt about things we call demons, and the answer surprised me because I was expecting, and this is probably from the influence of Christianity, but I was expecting him to say he doesn't like them and he'll punch one in the face. But he said that no, he doesn't hate them and he doesn't dislike them, but he doesn't agree with how they do things. And they need each other though, because it's a type of balancing act, which really got me thinking to where it's like, oh snap. So you're telling me that perhaps how I viewed or originally viewed what we call demons as evil and all that, it's not evil. It's just they do things differently than how you do things. And that really got me. And now to hear it from the opposite side, essentially, it's like, huh. So it's a very interesting balancing act.
It is a balancing act, and I mean, in a sort, it's well, with everything, if you look at it, typical. I'm gonna go with the yin yang. You've got the little speck of white in the black, and in the black you have the little. I mean, in the white you have a little speck of black, or how did that, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? You have to have a little bit of good with the bad and bad with the good.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, again, I'm going back to Star Wars here. But, and, oh, God, Disney, you killed Star Wars so hard. Anyway, in order to be a true Jedi Master, one has to not only know the good side of the Force, but you have to know the dark side, the light side, excuse me, but you have to know the dark side as well. Otherwise, how can you understand and get that balance?
Yeah, my mentors told me that before, actually. So yeah, that that is a lot of shadow work. That's where shadow work comes in, because you have to. Every one of us have negative things about us, right? And so learning to dip into those things and to, I like to say, embrace those things that aren't quite so pretty about ourselves at times. We've got to find that strength within those.
Yeah, but you gotta be careful with that sometimes, because if I gave in, I'd be 300 pounds. So.
Oh, God. That's that Tara.
I can't help it. Food is good. Um, so, Brooke, another question for Gusion, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, where does he reside?
The best description is more like in between. So not really anywhere, but everywhere at the same time.
That's funny you say that, because I actually recall, this is going to that Z entity, And I remember him saying that humans are so stupid because they just don't get how things work. And he was in several places at once and no one understood how. And, he just said, you guys are stupid. That's why you don't get it. And, so it's weird. So, yeah, he's nowhere and everywhere and in between. So, yeah, I think this is something that we're only going to truly understand when we kind of fork over and we're on that side.
Well, my understanding of it, from what I've learned, is kind of like we're stuck in place because our bodies act like a natural insulator.
Okay.
Our energetic bodies in one place, whereas they don't have that same insulator, so they can spread their energy pretty much wherever.
Okay. Okay, so it's almost like we're anchored.
Yeah. And that's also why we have sigils and offerings, because they kind of act as an anchor for them.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I could see that now. All right, that makes a lot of sense. And
Can I
Huh?
can I ask Brooke a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh.
Yeah, I have okay, for me personally, I'll just kind of quickly share. I've had one like, you'll have the people, I wouldn't say, well, skeptics, or kind of like they're on the fence about it. And, but all of a sudden they need something and they're like, hey, can you call your demons or whatever it is you do and help me out? I need help right now. I've literally, been on the road, my boyfriend and and at the time that, he was fixing to get pulled over. Well, we got pulled over. And what I didn't know is that he had warrants. He had, basically he should have gone to jail. And when we get pulled over, because I knew that at that time, it's like, okay, well, Belial, perfect for this. So I just literally, while they're in the car, I started saying his in. And he's, when he goes, hey, can you do something to help me out? And I'm like, bet, like that, kind of like, in a cocky-ish way, I will say, but I just knew that it would be taken care of. Well, I said, yeah, I got this covered. And I just said his in right then and there. And the trooper comes up to the door and he was like, yeah, well, your license was suspended, but the suspension has been taken off. And all you need to do is go and get your license renewed and da 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 da. Didn't get pulled, didn't go to jail, didn't have to pay an extra fine. Basically, all he was told was to go and get a new license so that he could be a legal driver from then on. And being in the state of Texas, normally he would have been picked up right away. So that was quite unbelievable. And it kind of just, I wasn't shocked to be at the same time I was, because it was like, yeah, I was like, see what I did there, or see what he did there. And I said, because, you could see the look of shock on his face. And I said, okay, now all you're supposed to say is hell Belial, And so have you had an experience like that was kind of like, it shocked you, but it didn't at the same time?
To be honest, I haven't had too many personal experiences, but I also, to be honest, I don't call on him for too much stuff like that. That's just how I kind of go about things. But, and definitely an experience I can share from my dad, actually. My dad, super Catholic, and in the last year or so, he started working with Gusion. Gusion did for him very recently, and why this is the only thing that seems to come to mind. He had overloaded his work truck, and he was driving on the highway, hit a bump, and one of the pavers flew out of his truck and actually smashed into a state trooper.
Oh, gosh.
The windshield. And so the state trooper comes up and was obviously pissed and was going to totally go off on him. And then he looked at the sigil that my dad was, and it was almost like he got hypnotized. My dad said he literally blanked out for about 15 seconds. And then all of a sudden he was acting like they were best buddies. And it ended up he just had another trooper come out and say that he hit something in the road and it smashed the window just so it could get taken care of by insurance.
It gave me chills. That's awesome.
Wow.
anything.
That is incredible. So yeah, you've had, well, through your dad, you've had an experience that's just like, wow, okay.
Angie asked, and this is for you, Bonnie. She asked, did Belial influence? And it's funny she asked this because she didn't hear the story that Brooke just told. So it's very funny. She's hearing it now because of the delay. But anyway, she asks, so did Belial influence the trooper, like he forced him to say those things? Something like that.
I think, yeah, I do. I think that he, because, he works with, when it comes to justice and things like that, it was kind of like to open this person's mind a little bit, to make that person see that there is more out there than just one side, that other things can be positive and help him out as well. I think it was kind of one of those things that was like, okay, we'll show you, we'll give you this proof that you're asking for. And because to see the mouth drop on this person, I couldn't help but, like, my grin was huge, because I was like, I wasn't really shocked that it happened, because I had those experiences before where things were taken care of that I had been, over worried about. And to watch somebody else's, I think it was to watch their own experience with it, was almost more, I don't know, I loved it almost even more, because when you're seeing somebody else feel that feeling that you get, it's nice. It's nice because it's something that they are trying to process in their head, and it's something that you can't really process how it's done. Like, were the papers lost, or because everything was just cleared, literally just almost like, yes, this was on there, but it's not on there now. Just go and get your license renewed. And that's literally all that was needed to do at that point.
That's insane.
On that, because she asked, did he force him to say those things? I wouldn't necessarily, at least with how Gusion seems to work, I wouldn't say it's necessarily force so much as like influencing the person to be kinder, to be more open about the situation, and maybe less angry and emotional. I wouldn't really say it's like forced influence, more so just encouraging the person to just be like
kinder,
like,
yeah,
to treat other people better and just act like how they would if it was like a family member or a friend.
Okay, I could see that, but I don't know how much I like that. I don't want to be influenced. I don't want to hear little whispers and stuff. That, if I'm a prick, I'm a prick. Let me be a prick. So, now you guys got me thinking. Now I'm over here like, man, has something like played some mind games on me at a time or another? Like, God darn it!
It's
man.
not like that. It's not like you're in a hypnotize. It's not that where you're seeing a circle go in a spiral and you're being hypnotized or in a trance. Like, it's something that can just momentarily open you more in a kinder way. And you know what? What's wrong with being kinder at times when we might want to react in a negative way? Then sometimes looking back, we're like, okay, I shouldn't have reacted that way in the first place. So I would say it's really, when technically you can't, we all have our own will, all right? So if that person was, if you want to go Star Wars Force type stuff, you would know that a Jedi mind trick was being played on you. Does that make sense?
No, because you wouldn't know, because, you have to be strong-minded, and you catch that. It's the weak-minded that, so now what if I'm weak-minded?
Well, then I'll be weak-minded.
Well, now that's the thing. That's the thing. You don't know if you're weak-minded or not. A fool doesn't know he's a fool.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really think, like she said, it's not really like necessarily like hypnotized and you're a totally different person. It's more so just like influencing you to be your best self in that situation.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So put your best foot forward. Got it. Or at least hear someone say put your best foot forward, but it's still up to you to do it or not. Oh boy. You guys are going to keep me up now for like 10 years thinking about this. So, I'm already not getting enough sleep, so I'm going to blame you for me losing another 2 hours.
I'll handle it.
Just like, oh, please, Melvin, go away.
I know. I'll get like texts tonight. Okay, well, what if this? And I'm like, you're fine, Melvin.
So, Brooke, what is something that you'd like every single person to know about working with, well, Gusion or Daemons? I still can't say that right. With spiritual entities in general that we just don't get.
That the concepts of what they are is not necessarily correct, and that they can encourage you to be, as I said before, the best version of yourself.
And, oh, you know what? This is out of left field, but what exactly are they? Like, are they a natural energy that came about from the world, galaxy, universe, or are some of them thought forms that was created by us humans and putting our energy together to create an entity?
I definitely think their origins vary depending on the spirit. It's kind of hard to say like in any specific way like how all of them are. They definitely vary per spirit.
Okay. And here's another thing. I know I'm like bombarding you with questions now. I'm so sorry. Um, so what are your opinions on everyone having what do they call them, Bonnie? Oh, spirit guides. There we go.
Well, I think that it's a possibility. I don't know for 100% fact that it's true. I think also you can get one if you want one. I think that anyone can get one. I don't know if it's necessarily originally, though.
So it's almost like, well, it's almost like if you don't have one, go ahead and ask for someone to help you out. But in a weird way, would you consider Gusion a type of spirit guide for you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So So it honestly, from our talk and from what I understand, it's really for you anyway. It's been just so beneficial. And how do people see you though? People who you might know that have a Christian background, do they treat you differently, or do they are they still courteous to you?
Um, well, I think you can kind of sort them into two groups. You have, the Hellfire and Brimstone group who are automatically judgmental and not open to anything. And then you have the loving and accepting group, which luckily my family happens to be part of that. Of course, they were a little off-put at first, but as they saw my growth and saw my progress in life, and I talked to them more about my practices, they definitely have judgments regarding my practices anymore.
Okay. And I think somewhere, I can't remember where. I'm trying to remember. It was probably on that woman's in her comment section. I think you referred to yourself as a gray witch. Okay. So, and of course, Bonnie I call a Texas witch, but Bonnie, you're I don't know what are you, Bonnie? Jeez, I don't know.
I'm a hodgepodge. It's a little bit of everything. I work, I do left-hand path. I always tease my expertise, unfortunately, was chaos magic. Things were happening that I solely because of my emotions, and that's kind of how I got into, this. I mean, how I got into everything in the first place. Like, I mean, heaven forbid I got mad at somebody, bad things would happen. And so I realized that's not really necessarily what I wanted. I didn't want negative things to happen to somebody, no matter how mad I was at them or hurt. So I had to learn to control my emotions, and, here we are. So, yeah, I'm a little bit of everything. But Gray Witch, I like that because it does put us in, there's not black nor white. It is a little bit of both and in between.
Well, I am a Crimson Witch, so there we go.
You're stuck in that ground, that you're in your ground chakra, your roots chakra there.
So what do you do as a Gray Witch? Please educate us on this, because I have no idea, Brooke.
So much like Bonnie, I kind of take a little bit of everything. A good term for that is eclectic. So I'm more like an eclectic Gray Witch. I kind of take what works and leave what doesn't. But as a Gray Witch, generally I try to help and steer myself away from negativity where I can steer myself away from it. I wouldn't really say there's anything in particular that I do that is considered, because it's a little bit of everything, like I do Reiki healing, I do energy work, but at the same time, I have no problem turning around and cursing the fuck out of somebody.
I got you there. Yes, ma'am. You got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Okay.
I have been known to take a picture or two and put somebody's birthday on the back of it. Huh.
Well, okay. If you guys want to do some spells that bring me some money, feel free to do that. I will definitely share in whatever I get, but don't take a picture of me and put dates on the back.
You haven't upset me.
Yet.
You won't. You're too sweet.
I'm not. I have my moments, which...
Your moments, I'm so angry.
I'm angry can do a lot, all right? I can give the angry fist to someone, and... Oh, okay, that's a good question, Angie. So, Angie has a question, and she wants to know if demons can heal people.
Yes, definitely. Well, demons, yes. Just a couple examples. One time I sprained my ankle really, really horribly, and I couldn't walk on it. If it wasn't for the fact I could just slightly move it, I would have thought it was broken. And it was horrible. I couldn't walk on it for a whole day. And when I went to bed, I woke up the next morning, and miraculously my ankle was perfectly fine. Swelling gone, no bruising, like it never happened. And I do know that they can assist in emotional healing, especially.
I've seen the emotional healing up front. I've seen that. That was very interesting. But the physical, that's pretty cool. So, but I'm assuming you can't exactly ask for it. It's something they're either going to do or they're not going to do.
I mean, once you establish a relationship with them, you can definitely ask. I actually ask Gusion all the time to give me a little bit of energy just to get me through a sickness or a depression bout. When you establish a relationship with them, you kind of learn what you can and can't ask for. And generally, I learned that, at least with Gusion, he's pretty giving about that kind of stuff.
Okay. Now, is Gusion connected to any sort of animal or element? I mean, I know you said that his energy kind of feels like water a bit. Is he connected to an animal or something from the natural world that you know of?
Well, his element is definitely earth with a subset of water. And as far as an animal connection, it kind of varies. His depictions are all over the place. Some call him a xenophilus, I think is the term, which is like dog-headed, camel-headed, baboon-headed.
Okay.
But what he actually looks like is definitely not really something that is... He looks more like an alien, if I'm going to be honest. Like, he he does not look like any natural animal on this planet. But if I had to assign him an animal, I would say a baboon.
A baboon. Okay. And you just said something, and this will probably be the last thing. He kind of resembles an alien a little bit. What do
Wee
you
bit.
how do you feel about, and this is mostly a Christian thing, or at least those that are in the Abrahamic belief system, they tend to say that aliens aren't actually aliens. They are demonic entities and they are tricking you to obtain your soul and, I guess, gobble you up. I don't know. But how they usually teach us to heal ourselves. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, reading the comment. But how do you how does Gusion feel about that? Being mistaken for or being called something that he most likely isn't. And how do you feel about that, Brooke? Saying that aliens are demons in disguise and they're just manipulating us and they want to eat our souls or take them.
Well, on one side of things, I can kind of see how aliens could be construed as entities, and they very well may be. They may just be entities from another part of the universe. I'm not really sure on that. It's a little weird that they conflate the two, but it kind of just goes back to ignorance. They don't really know, so they're just afraid of it. They say there's any, particularly negative feelings about it. And honestly, his description is hard to describe. It's very hard to describe what he looks like, aside from to say he looks very alien-like. He looks like a mix of multiple animals.
Yeah, so
Very strange.
yeah, hey, a mix is a mix is a mix. So, now the funny thing is this: in a lot of the texts and like the Goetia or whatever, when they describe demons, they describe them as pretty scary looking. Do you think that's just an intentional thing to freak people out?
I do on one hand, and on the other hand, I feel like if you approach somebody and you're basically looking at them in a negative light, why wouldn't they show you the negative light?
Yeah. Okay, that would kind of explain some stuff about that woman.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you said that, huh? Okay, I'm
Well, I
seeing some.
told you about my friend's experience with King Paimon, which I've always had the very, the better version. I've always seen the handsome version of Paimon, of King Paimon. But whereas somebody else I know did not, they saw more of, like, if you've ever seen 13 Ghosts, the, what's it, the something prince, the wounded prince or whatever it was.
Yep.
They saw almost that version. And which is, I'm sure, is terrifying because, I wouldn't want to see it that way. But when you go in, and this person happens to be Catholic, and when you go in with that mindset, you're already seeing this person or this entity as something negative, as something bad. Then, of course, it's going to, you've got to realize it's going to come with that common mutual respect in the first place. If you come at me with respect, I will treat you with the same respect. Now, you come at me like a jackass, well, hee-haw.
Wow.
So,
Something just hit me again. Bonnie, you'll remember this. Remember when I was telling you about Lilith's energy and all that, and we, both of us, we had different images of Lilith. I think you saw her as a brunette, and I saw her as a redhead, and you said something about her being a redhead or something like that. And now I'm thinking, it's like, oh wow. So yeah, Brooke, you literally just opened my eyes to something completely new. I didn't even,
I definitely think our concepts of them affects how we see them for sure.
Okay, so now this will be the last thing. Do you think it is possible, though, that because I'm assuming that Gushin and people, can I say people? I'm just going to say people like him are on a different realm of existence, and we being humans, are on a somewhat of a lower realm of existence in the 3D plane, of course. Do you think it's also possible that we can't interpret what they look like correctly because our mind just can't accept it? For instance, with um, the Enochian thing, and Bonnie, you were telling me about this, and I researched it. People were trying to summon what they said were angels, but these were beings on such a higher plane that when they were coming through, if you see them, because we can't understand them, we can't process, it would literally make you go crazy. And,
Yes.
yeah, it would make you go crazy and all that. So do you think that has an effect that we honestly we just can't process how they truly look because they are on a different plane of existence, Brooke?
I think definitely at first. I think as you get more into the practice and you start opening your mind more and realizing that, what you see in the 3D realm is not all there is, I think that you can begin to process more. And I think that's why they usually lead with have them first, and then as you get to know them more and you become more open, they can kind of show more of their true self.
And yeah, I think this is a good place to end it. Actually, I have one more question. This is for Gusion. Hope I'm not annoying him, but I'm just, I'm curious. All right, so of course he said that we're us again, humans are kind of like insects, which he's not wrong, but how does he see you? Evidently, he doesn't see you as an insect if you guys are partners and you have a relationship. So how does he see you?
Um, well, there's kind of different stages of it. There's the insect, and then you have the house plants, and then pets. And I would, yeah, I would think that I am. I wouldn't say equal, not necessarily, because obviously I have a lot to learn from him. But it's sort of like the same relationship you have with a college teacher. You aren't necessarily below each other, but you're not equal in terms of knowledge on a particular subject.
Okay. So you're not an insect. Congratulations.
Yeah.
They're definitely similar to a mentor,
Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I think this is a good spot to end it. And unfortunately, Megan couldn't come on, but that's okay. Hopefully, Brooke, if you'd like, we can have you on another show. Totally up to you. I'm not putting you on the spot. Don't worry.
No, I really enjoy talking with you guys. I'd be definitely down to add you guys on social media and stuff so I can actually talk to you guys more.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of social media, do you have any social media where just your average, ordinary person can contact you if they're interested in learning more about Gusion or spirituality, or perhaps they want to ask for your help, your Grey Witch services?
You can find me on YouTube under Brooke Hellsing, or on Facebook. I opened a Order of Gusion Facebook page where you can message me on there.
Okay, and I will be sure to put those links in the description below. Bonnie, anything going on with you?
Well, no, other than my daily tarot challenge that I haven't done in a few days, but it was because of the holiday. So, no, I'm trying to get back on my tarot thing and do that. It's kind of a challenge that I think, I think, Zazel kind of was like, hey, you need to get on this. You level up, girl. So
yeah, Gusion has definitely been pushing me.
Yeah, anytime Zazel comes, it's like, I mean, either give up something. I always see the Tower card. I love him. He does help me grow so much, but the Tower card does come to mind because it's like, okay, something is fixing to go and shake my world up. So, yeah.
Brooke, thank you for coming on again. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. Gusion, Thank you for answering our questions and dropping information that you really didn't have to, but I appreciate you doing that. Bonnie, thank you for coming on. Neima, you can just be lost in the woods. And also, guys, don't forget to follow Unexplained Possibilities on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram. Those links can be found in the description below. And with all that said, remember, guys, there are things that go bump in the night. Go ahead and tell them how. Bye, everybody.